doers, and dreamers. It's where the global marketplace meets hometown values, where Americana isn't just a tradition, it's a way of life. Here, your experience makes the difference. With access to railroads, major waterways, and 8 different highways, this is a place in motion, sending goods, services, and ideas not just across the state, but across the world. And when the work ends, the day's just beginning, with beaches like West Beach in the Indiana Dunes National Park, exciting hiking and biking trails like the Diana of the Dunes Dare or the BMX track, and local treasures and exciting festivals, you'll know you're in more than just a bedroom community. From veterans of foreign wars to hometown heroes, our diversity is our strength, and we forge our future with the same flame as our steel. Oh, there's a place in the Midwest, and it's calling you home. The best part of Portage is what's next. The best part of Portage is you. There's more for you in Indiana. There's a place in the Midwest, 50 miles southeast of Chicago, nestled near the coast of Lake Michigan. It's a place driven by what's coming next, a place where industry is the lifeblood of its community, and its pulse is gritted with sand and steel, fire and smoke. It's a city building its future together, one business, one family, and one home at a time. This is a place for makers, doers, and dreamers. It's where the global marketplace meets hometown values, where Americana isn't just a tradition, it's a way of life. Here, your experience makes the difference. With access to railroads, major waterways, and 8 different highways, this is a place in motion, sending goods, services, and ideas not just across the state, but across the world. And when the work ends, the day's just beginning, with beaches like West Beach in the Indiana Dunes National Park, exciting hiking and biking trails like the Diana of the Dunes Dare or the BMX track, and local treasures and exciting festivals, you'll know you're in more than just a bedroom community. From veterans of foreign wars to hometown heroes, our diversity is our strength, and we forge our future with the same flame as our steel. Oh, there's a place in the Midwest, and it's calling you home. The best part of Portage is what's next. The best part of Portage is you. There's more for you in Indiana. There's a place in the Midwest, 50 miles southeast of Chicago, nestled near the coast of Lake Michigan. It's a place driven by what's coming next, a place where industry is the lifeblood of its community, and its pulse is gritted with sand and steel, fire and smoke. It's a city building its future together, one business, one family, and one home at a time. This is a place for makers, doers, and dreamers. It's where the global marketplace meets hometown values, where Americana isn't just a tradition, it's a way of life. Here, your experience makes the difference. With access to railroads, major waterways, and 8 different highways, this is a place in motion, sending goods, services, and ideas not just across the state, but across the world. And when the work ends, the day's just beginning, with beaches like West Beach in the Indiana Dunes National Park, exciting hiking and biking trails like the Diana of the Dunes Dare or the BMX track, and local treasures and exciting festivals, you'll know you're in more than just a bedroom community. From veterans of foreign wars to hometown heroes, our diversity is our strength, and we forge our future with the same flame as our steel. Oh, there's a place in the Midwest, and it's calling you home. The best part of Portage is what's next. The best part of Portage is you. There's more for you in Indiana. There's a place in the Midwest, 50 miles southeast of Chicago, nestled near the coast of Lake Michigan. It's a place driven by what's coming next, a place where industry is the lifeblood of its community, and its pulse is gritted with sand and steel, fire and smoke. It's a city building its future together, one business, one family, and one home at a time. This is a place for makers, doers, and dreamers. It's where the global marketplace meets hometown values, where Americana isn't just a tradition, it's a way of life. Here, your experience makes the difference. With access to railroads, major waterways, and 8 different highways, this is a place in motion, sending goods, services, and ideas not just across the state, but across the world. And when the work ends, the day's just beginning, with beaches like West Beach in the Indiana Dunes National Park, exciting hiking and biking trails like the Diana of the Dunes Dare or the BMX track, and local treasures and exciting festivals, you'll know you're in more than just a bedroom community. From veterans of foreign wars to hometown heroes, our diversity is our strength, and we forge our future with the same flame as our steel. Oh, there's a place in the Midwest, and it's calling you home. The best part of Portage is what's next. The best part of Portage is you. There's more for you in Indiana. There's a place in the Midwest, 50 miles southeast of Chicago, nestled near the coast of Lake Michigan. It's a place driven by what's coming next, a place where industry is the lifeblood of its community, and its pulse is gritted with sand and steel, fire and smoke. It's a city building its future together, one business, one family, and one home at a time. This is a place for makers, doers, and dreamers.
Mr. Jackson?
Present.
Mr. Simpson?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Present.
Mayor Bonta?
Here.
Mr. Fleming?
Here.
Mr. Burhans?
Here.
Ms. Lesko? Here. Attorney Doran?
Here. Approval of minutes, last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
First, second, open for discussion.
Hopefully the recording didn't capture all the jokes we were making.
Any discussion on minutes last meeting? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
So you push down the button here to make it work? Yeah.
All right, minutes of meeting, last meeting passes. Move on to treasurer's report.
Marina operating funds have current balance of $259,907.05. Port Authority, current balance, $107,813.11.
All right, motion on passing the minutes. of
I'll make a
treasurer's-
motion to pass the treasurer's reports.
I'll second.
First, second, open for discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, treasurer's report passes. Move on to claims.
Motion to approve the claims.
Second.
First, second, open for discussion. See our NIPSCO bill was 3 months.
2 months.
Two months?
That includes the increase. It's almost double what it was last year. But they had a rate increase. I did not have any idea that it would be that high. But we do have we're running power for the bubblers, on all the docks, so that might have something to do with it.
Is there an anticipation that as the weather gets better, does our NIPSCO bill, do we project that to get worse, better, stay about the same with this rate increase? Or just wondering, for us, if that's something to plan ahead for?
I think it'll be less, Mayor. The only bathrooms that we air condition is the south bathhouse. Other than that, everything else should be pretty much the same, I hope.
All right, I was just surprised at the dollar amount. You say it doubled in rate. Is that correct?
Last winter, we paid between $4,000 and $5,000 a month for NIPSCO. And that $17,000, Mr. President, is for gas only. The electrical is billed at a separate rate.
Okay. Anybody else confused by that? I mean, that sounds like it's got to include both.
Sorry, I misspoke.
Gas is normally your cheapest of the two. I don't know, I'll assume too, we haven't budgeted for that, but it's another discussion, right? Okay, any other items on the claims this month? All right, all in favor of passing the claims report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Claims passes. We'll move on to legal. Mr. Dogan.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so on the quiet title action, the appropriate amount of time had passed to send to the court an order of quiet title, and so I prepared and did so a few weeks ago, and the court sort of sat on it for a few weeks, and then I received, instead of an approved order, the court sets this matter for initial hearing February 26, 2025 at 10 a.m. Parties are ordered to appear. I'm not quite sure why Judge Drenth decided to do that, other than this is a very complicated case because of so many parcels. You know, we have a very complicated legal description, and I did file with the court the title work, and there are so many parties involved. The good news is we have no claims and no objections to it filed by any parties, so I hopefully can answer judges' questions and get the order approved that date, but I don't know, you know, that's the extent of his order. I believe it will be because it's such a complicated case. That's why he set it for hearing, I believe. And that's all. I'm happy to answer questions if you have any.
Tom, where and when is the hearing, please?
It would be in Judge Drenth's court, which is at the Portage Annex courtroom, and 10 a.m., and it is February 26th. And I would guess it would be a 5-minute status type hearing.
I guess just to throw in, to add a little bit more to, not this particular situation, but the related spot, on Wednesday, what is today, Thursday? Oh, then I apologize, on Tuesday this week, we officially signed for the Redevelopment Commission has purchased the Rupert property, which is the property immediately to the west of these parcels. What that means is that, with the exception of one very small piece to the southeast, which is the old Burns Harbor Fish Company, if you're familiar with it, between this body and the Redevelopment Commission, what's left of that north side area is now entirely within either the Redevelopment Commission or the Port Authority. I say that because as we get this matter, cleared up, I think that the next logical, question would be how we get this body and the Redevelopment Commission together to make a plan for that whole area.
Okay, I'll do my best to get this cleared up, and then we'll coordinate with them.
I'll just state that getting the Rupert property purchased was something that got accomplished in very impressive speed. if you will. Simply put, last year when we were talking about this, it was a when we get to it as we figure it out, but it took a lot of great work on the redevelopment side, but we were able to purchase the whole piece there to the west of this, the west of our land.
How big is that partial?
I'd have to show you the map, but it's, I mean, it's significant. It's, between us, like I say, with the exception of the Burns Harbor Fish Company, which is very, very small. It literally means everything south of Marina Shores and north of the waterway is in the city's holding in one way or the other, either through the Port Authority or through redevelopment. I could even bring the thing down at the end of this meeting if you'd like to see the map.
Congratulations, Mayor,
Yeah.
on getting that. That's been in the works for a long time, and it's very hard to do. And Jeff, to answer your question, big picture, that property that they just bought is like twice the size of what we own right now.
There's an interesting story or anecdote, I guess I could say, and this is by no means a secret. And initially, when the redevelopment commission, we made the offer for the Rupert parcels, they were looking to get about 1.8 million for it. Well, the trouble is that when the appraisal came in, because as a municipality, we can only usually do the average of 2 appraisals. Well, the appraisal came much less, which was surprising to me in one sense because of how much land it is, the location. Not surprising when you consider how inaccessible the land is. Of course, the reason it's inaccessible is because the RDC owns the land to the west of it. And so, but what we found, though, is that with Rupert, there's a piece of property that was owned and was part of the initial offer, which is east side of the waterway and south of the marina, south of the yacht club, where Mr. Rupert continues to own an area where he rents out the slips. That makes him a decent amount of money each year renting the slips. Well, what we found is by taking that out of the offer, essentially redevelopment commission saying we're not interested in buying that part, it was able to reduce the overall price for the rest of the land to something that we were legally able to do as the redevelopment commission. So it is to say Rupert's not completely out of the game up there, but unless this board has an interest in those slips, I think it's safe to say we're not, I think we've completed our land deal there.
Yeah, great to hear. All right, thank you for the update and good news. Tom, anything else on legal?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Marina facility, Barb?
Taking slip payments on a daily basis, and it's really too early in the year to see how many open slips we're going to have for 2025. As of today, we have a total of 28 slips that are open where the slip holders have either forfeited their slips due to their own set of circumstances or not having made their deposits. We contact them by phone, and we also send emails to those persons, and we've not heard back from any of them. Our written policy states that the second payment is due February 15th with the slip payment. The 7-finger piers that we ordered last year from Flotation Docks arrived at the marina Tuesday, February 11th. As soon as weather allows, maintenance personnel will be there to install them. They will be in place by April 15th. Also, maintenance personnel will be performing the required maintenance required and recommended to both KECO pump-outs. They will be in service as weather allows and when no freeze is forecast. I attached something to this little report regarding user fees collected. Occasionally, there's an overlap from what I enter on my end in Key Fund and what the Clerk Treasurer's Office enters on their end. So I've corrected the user fee report to reflect the correct amounts collected. And the 2 mistakes were actually postings that I did in January that carried over until, postings that I posted in January, but they were actually December fees. So it's correct now at $372.50. Regarding the grant, at the last Port Authority meeting, it was requested that I break down the dollar amounts spent into the fish cleaning station and into the fishing pier dollars. This has proved to be quite time-consuming, and I'm still working on it. So if I can complete it before our March meeting, I'll forward it to all the board members and our board secretary. Whitcraft arrived at the fishing pier property on February 11th. That was also Tuesday, and installation of the new public fishing pier access site has begun. If you take a drive down there, you'll see where the boardwalk is, and it does not infringe on the waterway at all, so I think it's going to be pretty nice when it's done. Regarding business at the marina, it's been very slow at the launch ramp. There's been very few launches in January at all, and so far we've sold 7 season passes. And that's pretty much the extent of my report as of today. Do you have any questions?
Hey, Barb, on a fishing pier. I know they're working on it now, but are they going to handrails up right away?
Those are the next step, once they clear the
Right.
property line. You know, it's got to be cleared a little
I'm just
bit.
afraid that somebody's going to walk down there and get on there and start fishing.
We can put barricades up and cones probably to keep people out.
At least we have something up there that they do go out there.
Yeah, there hasn't been anybody fishing at our pier at the marina, and like I said before, there's been very few people going out onto the lake at all. As a matter of fact, in January, we only had 3 launches out of the portage, out of our launch area, which is,
Had a couple, because I go there early in the morning to get everything. There's been a couple fishing down there. Yeah, not now, but before we started putting everything in.
we'll get something up there to block it. And I'll instruct the people that are working there, the Whitcraft people, that they need to block that area off when they're done for the day.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.
Barb, you mentioned it's been time-consuming trying to split the funds out. What's the reason for that? Is there anything we can do or anybody else can do to help you so we can get a clearer picture of that?
Carl, part of the problem was the way the DNR handled all of this. When I first started applying for reimbursement, I sent everything to one person at the DNR. Well, that proved to be not how they wanted it done, so I had to redo it all and send it to another person at the DNR. What I'm doing now is I'm breaking down all the Abbenmarsh invoices, because their invoices include different, they include charges for the fishing pier and charges for the fish cleaning station. So I've got to break all that down. That's just the time-consuming part. And I've been in the office pretty much by myself, pretty much the whole month of January. My assistant has got her sister's just discovered her sister has pancreatic cancer, so she's required to have some time off. So in between dealing with customers, calls, and everything else, it's something I can get done, but I'm probably going to have to go in this Saturday to do some work on it where I've got quiet time.
Okay, so it's blocking you, it's just the process of getting it done.
It's a process and looking at every single invoice that we've received.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and I apologize for it taking so long.
All right, thanks, Barb, for the update. Dave, safety.
Nothing to report. However, I have spoke with a friend that owns operating a drone business, and I reached out to him to see if I can get him regularly to go up and down during the winter months to just make sure that everything's cleared out and we don't have any future traumas coming that we don't foresee in the river.
Good idea.
Thanks, Carl.
Okay, thank you. Anything on planning development that anyone has? I do have a small update from Matt.
Matt would have been here today, but he is homesick.
Matt had indicated, as Barb stated, the fishing pier, the placement of the structure has begun. He also stated that we are still waiting on the contractor on the value engineering of the costs for the fish cleaning station. So hope to have something on that next month. All right, with that, moving on to old business. Anything?
Yeah, I would like to talk about the compensation on the budget, if you don't mind. I propose that this group works hard, that they should get something. And I propose that we should get at least half.
Buddy, at one time, it was $50 per meeting. But then when the board took more of a proactive approach to, funding the new docks, et cetera, the board voted to increase it to 100.
I would like to propose that we just donate our time and accept zero.
I would second that. And as noted, for me, it's not that I'm against the idea of compensation at some time, but in a time where our government is very low-funded, and in comparison to other boards, I do respect that this is a separate entity, but at the same time, I think that we still have the name portage on us, and with other boards also being at zero, I think it's important that we treat this as a volunteer entity, at least for the time being.
All right, other discussion? I don't think we have a motion for this, do we? We're going to make a motion.
I would like to make a motion that the board donates their $100 and waives their fee back to the city.
And I would second that.
Okay, we'll move it now to open discussion.
I just think he's gonna have a harder time getting people on the board when people do leave.
I don't mean to sound dramatic or anything to that effect, but I don't believe that that's an issue. As noted, there are other boards, including the Board of Works, the Redevelopment Commission, the Storm Board, the Sanitary, all of which are paid $0 for the year. And people are maybe not beating down the walls, so much, but at the same time, there's many people that want to serve the city, serve our community, and are able to put together one meeting, or in the case of Board of Works, 2 meetings, a month. I would even point out the fact that with Board of Works, that's every other Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. So it is to say that even making a commitment to be on a board that pays zero, you're also taking time out of the day, sometimes scheduling around work. Now, of course, factors like that can impact who's capable of serving on a board. I don't mean capable here. I mean capable with availability. This is a board that meets at 6 o'clock, and I would actually say that with this one being something where I'm not a boater. I don't have a boat. I've learned it's great to have friends with boats. But what I can tell you is knowing that the boater community is so active and involved, I don't think we have any shortage of people who would be willing to serve on something as important as this. And not that you got to be a boater to be on this board. In fact, it's probably good to have some non-boater diversity as well. But I don't think that we have a recruitment trouble here, and certainly not enough to justify paying for each meeting.
Other discussion? Okay, so all in favor of non-compensation for the 25 calendar year, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. Other old business? About new business?
I guess I would wonder a bit, and maybe this is a question for our attorney. As I spoke to a little bit earlier, with the RDC, again, like I say, there's one parcel remaining that is, I think clearly just it belongs to a private owner, and we've extended on the RDC side our interest in purchasing it, so, give it some time, we'll see. But in regards to the majority of that area now below Marina Shores and north of the river, being between the RDC and the Port Authority, if we wanted to come together and kind of come up with a, joint plan or some sort of, I don't know if agreement's the right word, but when we start really putting together that final vision for the north side, how do I put it? I'm on both boards, right? So what is the appropriate avenue to officially make a plan for that? You know what I mean? Is it as simple as like the executives such as Barb and myself and like Tom Cherry, Dan Bowditch talking? Is there some element where we actually need, given that this is its own entity, members of this board involved? I'd just be really curious your legal recommendation on how do we technically make arrangements if we were to go somewhere. And of course, maybe not put the cart before the horse. Maybe we need to have this hearing, get our own property sorted out first. But to be thinking ahead, I'd just really love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, to answer you, Mayor, in the business world, you would do what's called a letter of intent. that would memorialize what your intentions are. But I don't know that you don't need to do that. I think you can do this informally and simply sit down with them as you suggested and say, oh, yeah, we would both like to do this. It's a great goal, and maybe do that. But if you want it to be more formal than that, a letter of intent between the two entities would be a good idea.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. Like I say, I'm excited to see this on our end get settled through this process we're going through right now. Yeah.
And I'm just going to let the board know that I'm working with the EPA and Indiana Department of Environmental Management and the DNR. There possibly are grants available for derelict vessels that have been left on property, so I'm looking to see if there's anything that could apply to that particular site that would save us a whole bunch of money in remediation and cleanup.
One of the challenging things about the east side, of course, is, I'm saying, I guess it's the west bank, but the east side of the overall, land over there is the boats that need to be cleared out and what have you.
If I may interject, I would be concerned about environmental phase 1, phase 2, and see where you are.
Question on our end, is it better to get the land cleaned up before we start doing something more formally, or is it better to do something formally and include the cleanup, things like that come into play? I don't know the answer, not at this time anyway.
Or the possibility of even declaring the property to be, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Hazardous waste, maybe a brownfield. There are grants for that available too, but all this stuff is really hard to find.
I will say, speaking in regards to the old Burns Harbor Fish Company, site, there's been a significant amount of at least physical cleanup going on there. I don't know if any of you guys have been that way or if you'd like to come by and see it, but as noted, there was some discussion earlier last year about RDC taking an interest, in the property. A couple of different family members have a say on that property, and to make it really simply, the whole family is not quite ready to sell. But in the meantime, they've been taking a high interest in getting some of that property cleaned up. I can't quite tell you where everything is going, but you can see the difference already, at least from what you can see on the ground.
To that, I would say the more the better.
All right, thanks for that input. Other new business? Okay, I just want to note that, Carl, we did receive your email in regards to the dock committee. So noted as such. That will leave Barb and Buddy on that committee, correct? Do we need to put a third on the committee at this time? I don't think we have a lot of activity currently.
There's not a whole lot going on, but it probably would be beneficial to have a third person on the dock committee.
Then with that, Carl was chairing that committee, if I remember correctly.
No, I think Barb is.
Barb was? Okay, Barb, you're chairing that, Buddy. And who would like to be a third member on that committee?
We could probably deal with 2 people.
Nobody's running to it. All right, let's consider such as a third right now. Let's leave it at 2. Barb will chair the committee. And anything to report on that, Barb, as we sit here tonight?
Hey, Jeff, I wouldn't mind being on, it's just I got a tough schedule, but if you need somebody, I could.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Well, Ron will take the third position. Again, Barb, anything to report tonight?
No, not really. I kind of left everything the way it was because it's such a huge expense. And with everything else that's going on at the marina with, the grant and everything and whatnot, taking payments, I haven't really focused on it a lot.
All right, thank you.
But I do have all the information. It's all gathered. I mean, we have it. It probably need to be updated since this is last year, but we can do that as needed.
Okay. One other thing under new business, I did receive a call from one of the principals at Marina Shores. They are considering bringing a dredge in to dredge the fuel dock area and another low point within their marina. and they've approached me to ask if there's any dredging that we are in need of within our marina or elsewhere that we're aware of.
The water's low, but we have no bare spots in our marina at all. Everything is pretty much, it's a go.
Danny's confirmed that. He said he was going to.
Yes, he's measured all the docks, and it's between 6 and 9 feet.
Would they be willing to, I can inquire with the Isaac Walton, because I know it's shallow back there. I've never seen it that low before.
The inquiry is that the cost of bringing the dredge in is such, but they would like to share the labor side of it, the actual physical dredging. So if there is a need, if you could inquire, please do so, and we can share that back with them. I don't have a timeline on this. They're trying to get it, of course, done before the season. Their fuel dock, I know, is very low.
Barb, how far did when the Army Corps was doing their dredging, how far did that go? I guess, is it fair to say not as far as the Isaac Walton?
Not as far as they went to the first bridge.
Gotcha.
And I think it was like 652 million pounds of sand that they pumped back out.
Okay.
But at the Marina Shores project, they were asking for, just to bring the equipment down from Michigan, which is the King Corporation that did the actual dredging. They're asking for $300,000 just to move the equipment to the site. Just to move it there. And they were told, Marina Shores was told, if they don't act on this pretty quickly, they're not going to have anything done until possibly July or August, because they're that far out now, with their request. So they're in a bind.
Back when I was on the Ogden Dunes Beach Nourishment Advisory Committee, it would often be more than the dredging to mobilize the equipment. We were quoted $1 million by King once, just to mobilize.
All right, well, I wanted to share that, and I know they're up against that. Is the water predicted to stay low, or does anyone know at this point?
It fluctuates. Right now, it's pretty low.
Correct, but for the season, any predictions this year, or we know it could go up year over year?
Everything I've read, Mr. President, has been for low water. It's not going to go high.
I know about 3-4 years ago, we had to build our docks up. Now we need to take them back down.
Yeah, if I can interject again, I just looked at a Corps of Engineer report, and I think we're about at the median, the all-time median. And of course, there are seasonal fluctuations, but I think right now we're at the median, and I believe you're right, it's going down still. We're on a down cycle now.
Basically with the lake not freezing over this year, it didn't save any water, so it's going to continue to go down.
Again, being this the Beach Nourishment Advisory Committee president for many, many, many years, evaporation is the #1 factor.
All right, thanks for the input on that, and you're obviously aware of the need over at Marina Shores. Other new business? Okay, we have no public input, and we just need a adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, got first, second, meeting is adjourned.